The opinions expressed in the following programs are those of the participants and do not necessarily reflect those of Rogers nor Rogers TV.
This program is brought to you by Ignite TV. Now you're in command. Visit Rogers.com for more details.
Welcome to another exciting episode of In Conversation with Alethia. I am your host, Alethia O'Hara-Stephenson. In this show, I sit down with incredible individuals doing inspiring things in our community. The show will educate, it will empower, and it will inspire you. So be sure to tune in every single week. In this episode, I am honored to have an author, a screenwriter, and movie producer with us to share her story with us. Please join me in welcoming Lynne Stoltz to the show. Welcome, Lynne.
Thank you so much, Alethia, for having me. I appreciate it. It's an honor.
Wonderful. Thank you so much for saying yes. It is, it's an absolute honor to have you. I have to say that I've had the chance to watch your recent movie, your new movie, Sons to the Grave. And right off the top, I have to say there's one character that angers my soul, but we'll get into that later on in the show. For now, I'd love to hear your story. I'd love to hear a little bit more about Lynne Stoltz. Can you share with us a little bit about your background and history?
My background was never to be a producer. It was writing a book, which I wrote totally for myself. And my husband, who was very entrepreneurish and had several businesses, and he was like, no, this isn't for you. We're getting it out. And it went in all the stores and it did really well. So it was sort of an encouragement to continue writing. And we went on to do many other things. I wrote another book, which will be out in the fall, called The Other Side of the Bed. I started Have Faith Productions. Mm-hmm. I lost my husband, actually, and we were planning on doing movies next in our entertainment industry portfolio, I guess, if you want to call it that, because I always wanted to write scripts, and scripts come easy for me, and not as long as writing a book for a long time. So there's a certain incident took place in Toronto, and I wanted to do the story, but I lost my husband. Mm-hmm. Sorry. Thank you. I obviously had other things to take care of that were immediate. And then I started our company, hence the title, Have Faith Productions.
I love that.
My faith is very important to me. It has seen me through everything that I had to go through. When I look back, I go, there's no way I was alone on this journey. Someone mm-hmm. was there taking me through it. So it was very important to me.
That's incredible.
Then something happened in Toronto, an incident. And we were going to actually I wanted to do the story and talk to the people involved in the story. Mm-hmm. And I walked the area that the incident took place in. And the person that was with me, a very well-known director, said to me, there's a bigger story here to tell that will reach not a more important story, but one that will is far-reaching. And I agreed and decided to do that story, and that is where the story Sons to the Grave comes in.
Wow.
It's it really tells a story, and you saw it, so you know what I say by the opposite sides of the bridge.
Yes.
Instead of the other sides of the tracks, I use the bridge as the metaphor. There's a footbridge that divides
the two neighborhoods.
Yeah, two distinctly different neighborhoods, the have and the have-nots, if you want to is a simpler way of putting it, I guess.
Okay.
And I wanted to tell the story that I've run into several times in instances where we forget that we are a brother's keeper. Mm-hmm. We have a responsibility to those in our communities that are struggling. Not that we can save the world or we don't have all the answers. I am certainly not saying here that I have all the answers for any of this, but talking to mothers, teachers, faith leaders, politicians in the at-risk communities, there's a theme. There is a theme that I think we have to break. And I think you watching the movie, that we approached it honestly.
I think you handled the movie quite well, and we'll talk a little bit about the movie later. But I'd love to connect with you to understand what came first. So I know you talked about, you started the movie production. Did Have Faith come to life first, or everything kind of just morphed into one? You had the vision for Sons to the Grave, and you were doing Have Faith productions at the same time. How did the two come together?
I had the vision for Sons came before.
Okay.
And before that we were on our way actually we had signed a production deal to do, I wrote my first book was Loud Silence, and we signed a production deal, and that was in the process of being done when I lost my husband. Okay. So it was we were very blessed with that movie. Actually, Maya Angelou, the late Maya Angelou, was attached to direct that movie.
Exciting.
She read the book and the script and decided that story, which, by the way, is the next story that we're doing. Okay. But the company, the Have Faith production company, was after I lost my husband. I thought we have to have a company, and that name sits with me. It carries me a little. I
love the name, because I'm also seeing some similarities that, have carried throughout the movie. And I don't want to give away all of the secrets of the movie, but
you write who you are in many cases.
Yes. Yeah. Now, why was it important for you to start this production company, especially being a female and doing it here in Canada?
I wish I had a really strong answer for that. I wish, I had an exact plan to tell you that. One, I didn't. I just knew that I had to tell the story, and I wanted this story to be told the way I wrote it. It doesn't always happen if you hand it over to someone, which is the right. It's right for other people who acquire your project to do what they want. Wow. I wanted this to be done the way I wrote it, the heart, the soul. I didn't just want another. Some kid, somebody's son gets shot, and it's sad, and it's over, and it's done, and we all forget about it. I think we get numb to the headlines, and I wanted to do a story that wasn't just the headlines, that sort of the behind the story. Look, we had the opportunity to show this to a private screening with Martin Luther King, Mr. King's son, and he got it too. He got probably what you're talking about. There were points we wanted to make that didn't necessarily make us all look good, but I made them anyway, and they seem to be resonating. The viewer approval rate for this movie is very high, and I would have been happy with half of that. I sincerely, I know. Sasha, my daughter, keeps saying, "Why are you saying that?" But I would have been, so. It's doing really well, and we're looking forward to doing a series based on that movie.
Oh, wow. Okay, that is very exciting.
Here in Toronto.
Okay, that's good. That would have been my next question, because I know this movie, though it was based on actual events in Toronto.
It was inspired by, yes.
Okay, but you actually shot this in the States.
We shot it in Atlanta, and to go outside your comfort base to some place where you haven't been, it was an experience. And we did I did the choosing of the actors. It was an all-encompassing movie, and we shot it very quickly. I wanted more than anything to shoot it here in Toronto, and I tried for almost 2 years to shoot it in Toronto, but was told that it wasn't really a Canadian story. I only wanted to do a tiny little Canadian movie. And I said, it would resonate more in the US. And I look at this movie, and as you know, what happens in that movie certainly happens in Toronto.
Absolutely.
Or in any Canadian city. In all cities, it doesn't matter if it's the US or the UK or Canada. So, but I didn't have the strength of power at that time. Not that I have a lot of power at this time, but a little more proof. Now, since the movie has been seen by different people, we've been offered a series, so I guess everyone realizes, yeah, this happens. Of course it happened. And it's really, if you talk to people all over, all these cities from LA to Miami, to hear the story's the same. The story doesn't change that much.
And I love the fact that the story transcends a particular sport, right? Yeah. It doesn't have to necessarily be basketball. It could be any sport. It could be hockey, right?
Absolutely.
It's at the end of the day, it's the haves and the have-nots. I want to touch on the storyline a little bit more, but before I go there, you touched on some of the challenges that you experienced. Can you share some of those challenges or hurdles that you had to overcome in producing this movie?
Well, the challenges were what I said. They thought maybe it was too much of a U.S. story, which, again, I disagreed with. But having not done one in Canada, they're going, what do you know? And I get that. It's the path you start on this journey, and that's where it starts. But the challenges, no, I didn't have challenges in the U.S. because I was a woman. I get asked that question a lot. Yeah. And, I said to someone, we were talking about that one of the actors, actually one of the very well-known actors in the movie, during a break, I said to him, I haven't had, we talked exactly the question that you asked me. And I said, I really haven't. I'm lucky and I'm probably going to run into it, but, so far not. And he goes, really the reason is it's the words on the page that mattered. And we respect the words on the page, and we all came together to do this movie. And that really that was very humbling. Mm-hmm. Because all of these people do big movies. They do it for much more, but they wanted this movie to be told. They wanted this story to be told, and they came together and worked unbelievably hard. Amazing cast to make this work.
Right. And the cast, speaking of the cast, you had an all-star lineup of actors representing your movie. How was that for you as your first movie to have such an all-star cast?
It was amazing because I got to choose who, and they agreed to come on. I got to choose who I'd like in those roles, chose like a different view of some of these characters than somebody else might have seen. But as the writer, it was the feel that I had. And Maria Howell, who played the mother, I would cry just looking at her, how she cried. It was unbelievable cast. And I was just, honestly, humbled is the only word I can use to. I was humbled by them coming on to take this tiny little movie. It's like the little train that could, it has just moved faster than actually we all anticipated.
Love that. We're going to take a short break, Lynne, and come right back.
Absolutely.
Talk about the movie and how you managed to survive and deliver such a spectacular show. So stay tuned, everyone. We'll be right back with In Conversation with Alethia, and we'll pick up the conversation with a producer, screenwriter, Lynne Stoltz.
All journalism students, Omni Television is once again awarding scholarships to qualified students pursuing a career in third language journalism.
When I found out that I won an Omni scholarship, I honestly wasn't expecting it. Winning an Omni scholarship helped me realize that I chose the right career path by pursuing third language journalism.
Omni is home to a variety of locally produced current affairs programs and daily national newscasts, broadcast in 6 languages. To learn more about Omni scholarships, visit omnitv.ca/scholarships.
to trust, young brother. Trust God. He doesn't live here. RD does.
This ain't no fairy tale. Just hush. I'll be right back. You're not only a team in here, you're a team outside these doors.
You going somewhere, Marcus?
Yeah, college. You gotta check this out. Are you ready? Hey.
Don't be late.
Okay.
I mean it.
I love you.
Love you too. Do you think that if somebody really tried, you think they could become somebody and make it out of Hudson?
My mom always said that we don't necessarily become what we want, but we always become what we choose.
I worked hard for my scholarship.
Yes, and you got game.
It's not about my game. It's about the rest of my life and the choices that I make today. I'm not gonna let anyone screw that up for me.
What you trying to say that I am?
And it looks that way to me.
Do whatever you gotta do and go find yourself another boy. You are my boy.
Make the right choices.
My mom reading the same book.
And we know the end.
Man, we boys. You know that. Boys don't do that, bro. Shit. It's on me. This is my life. This is my chance. You're under the mistaken impression that you have a choice.
Marcus, is that you?
Lynne Stoltz. Lynne, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
So I wanted to dive into this segment of the conversation and talk a little bit more about the movie. Young Marcus Jennings, what an amazing actor. So what connected you to his story the most?
Actually, it was the thoughts that I had wrongly that made me do this story. As you see in this the title, it's Sons, the number 2, the grave. For me, that was because their 2 sons went to their grave.
Okay.
They were 2 boys, but they both were sons, somebody's son. And the reason for it, as you know from seeing it, is that I guess we tried to give understanding to both of the boys. Not that we agree with the shooter, obviously, but we tried to give understanding as how he got to that point and how Marcus got to that point.
Right.
Why didn't Marcus just stay in his house and lock the door 3 days? And for me, before I spoke about this movie, before I learned more about all these situations, I would say, you make a choice. It's about choices, and we make that clear. I think it's about choices, and the consequences of your choices. But it's not always that easy. You can't just say, well, if he decided to do this, this wouldn't have. It isn't that easy when you're in that position.
Right.
He tried to save his ego, his standing in the community, what he thought was a standing. He was young, he was cocky, he thought he could just walk away from something. And that you once you get into it, you're into it. And I think our shooter made that very clear. It's not that he didn't like Marcus. He actually loved him, but it was a choice he had to make, because if Marcus left there and he had no power left, he's done. And in a community, that's what we tried to show. I learned a lot from doing this.
I can imagine, because even just watching the movie, it challenged my own perceptions and biases as well, right? And it really made, it clear for me that sometimes we think as parents that it's just easy for you to walk away and say no, but sometimes there are other factors at play. And I love how you were able to bring that out in the movie, as much as, young Marcus Jennings wanted to do the right thing.
And you saw he was a good kid.
Yes, yes.
He was led down a path that he was feeling pretty sure of himself. And as any 18-year-old, this is nothing new. It doesn't really matter what side of that bridge. It's all the same. But there was no saving. And I think you see halfway, there's no saving him. As much as his mother tried, every single day to save this young man. She couldn't, and we tried to show that, but we also tried to show why. Not that we agree, obviously, but why the shooter did what he did. And we do need to give more choices in at-risk communities or communities. We can't change the way people think. We can't change the decisions young men and young women make, but we can give them more choices. And that's what I think, as a community, we owe more choices. Then you make them.
And one of the things that I loved how you were able to portray in the movie as well is the fact that you have Mom, Ruth Jennings, who is a strong female character, right? It's not that she was a bad mom. She was very involved. She was very there for her son and very supportive and very involved in the community. But yet here she is now suffering the loss of having to bury her son. Which is, it's a powerful story, and I think it will connect with so many individuals and so many different audiences, which is another reason why I love this movie. I want to touch on some of the actors, and in particular Ruth, because I think I see some similarities in her strength and in her faith with you as well. The fact that you started this production company with your daughter, Have Faith Productions. Did you see some of your own faith and personality?
No, I saw the faith because Ruth had that faith. It was rooted deep. She had that. And Maria Howell, who played the actor, is the same. But the strength, I think as mothers, what I see is when you go through something, had not obviously gone through that, but I had lost my husband, and who was my love of my life since I was 20 years old.
Wow.
And it's not the same as losing a child. Absolutely. You can't say, I know what you're going through, whatever, but it's something that you have to go through that you obviously weren't prepared for. No one can prepare you, but you have to have that strength. And I think that's the strength that Ruth, I can relate to with Ruth. Her faith carried her. She was devastated. And the fact that she moved there from not an at-risk community, from a community that did not have those problems, so that her son could be at the basketball school that was known to the Scouts. That's why she did. So she made that decision to do that for his sake.
Right.
And couldn't save him. And I think, it's hard to think that we can save our children, and we can't always save our children.
Yes, that is so true. That's powerful.
But their relationship was great.
Yes, and I loved how the characters portrayed that on screen. I want to touch on some of the other elements, the other Canadian factors, because I noticed on the soundtrack, you have some really recognized Canadian talents.
We came back to use, after the movie, we did the editing here, we did the soundtrack here. We were very fortunate, and we have the Sean Jones, who is an amazing, one of Canada's best.
Yes.
He really truly is. He does the song for the funeral when she's walking out, literally carrying her son's, or helping lift her son's casket, which is, I hadn't seen that done, but I know that had been done, so I did put it in. And the song is, the tears start coming as soon as that voice comes. We had Maestro's Fresh Wes and his crew, produced by Dub J, for the end song. We had so many people, we were very blessed. We were very blessed. Yeah.
I love that. And, it's especially humbling, the fact that here you are, a Canadian screenwriter and producer, and you made sure that you're paying homage to home, recognizing our local talent, which is so, so incredible and amazing to see. So kudos to you and team for making that possible.
I would have done it all here. So next one is all here.
Okay, love it.
The series has to be here for sure. I think it's
awesome.
We're gonna make it work. Toronto's a great place to shoot, and that we're gonna do it.
Awesome.
Great.
So you've already kind of jumped into what's next. So what's next for Lynne will be the TV show for.
No, the series is not next. We're going to do a slate of 3 movies. We're going to do Loud Silence from my first book, the one that we were really supposed to do in the beginning, and The Other Side of the Bed, which is my second book coming out in the fall.
Amazing.
And we're going to do a faith and family one called Dropped Off.
Okay.
And it's 3 in a row, and somewhere in between there, we're going to fit the series in.
That's amazing. That's a full slate of activities for the foreseeable future.
Yeah. Yes. Absolutely. Absolutely. We're blessed. We have been blessed with this. It doesn't always work the way you want it, but this time, we just didn't give up until it did. It did. And it portrayed what we wanted to portray. And I think the series, when we do it, will be the same. We have 2 different communities, but everyone lives basically in the same area, and we tend to forget what's just across there. We go, well, it's over there, as we did in the story. It's over there, and the fact that we give little attention to what goes on over there until someone does very well, like Marcus. Marcus was going to the NBA, so everybody is on Marcus's side. Everybody supports Marcus, but not everyone is a basketball player. Not everyone is a football player. Not everyone is a hip hop artist.
Exactly.
So we need to pay attention to everyone in that. There but the grace of God go us.
And you know what? If there's one message that I can take away from the movie is that we are our brother's keepers, and we're supposed to look out for each other on and off the court. And the movie depicted that perfectly. So, Lynne, I want to say the movie is absolutely incredible. Thank you so much for sharing your talents with us. Thank you for having this conversation with me. And I hope we can connect again in the near future and talk about other opportunities.
I hope we can too. Thank you so much, Alethia. Thank you for being so professional and so lovely. Thank you.
Not a problem. Take care.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Stay blessed.
The Rogers TV viewer response line. Email us or connect with us on social media.